All right, well, we're live here from CII where everyone's been glued to the finance minister's speech. So let's get straight to it. And we have Mr. Mukesh Bhutani with us, who's of course the guy that everyone wants to hear from right now. Please explain to us what these new tax slabs actually mean for all of us.
Well, the new tax slabs clearly seem to suggest that the middle class and the lower tax paying fraternity will get the benefit based on the slab rates that were announced. I think the underlying philosophy being that with the growth potential and the increase in demand, the savings that the individuals will realize, they would like to spend it, and that will propel growth. That's one part of it. I think the larger story on tax collection trends seem to suggest that the momentum that India has gained on tax collection, which is robust all around tax collections, not just on GST, but also on direct tax. She doesn't want to lose that momentum because her giveaway, which she said towards the end, was just about 40,000 crore. And I won't be surprised if in the overall math, it adds up that substantial part of that benefit was given to the low taxpayers. She's also reduced the slabs from 6 to 5, which is simplification. I think it's a good start. Maybe not meeting the expectations that people had to reduce the slabs to 3 or 4. Also, the super surcharge has been reduced. So the effective tax, maximum marginal tax rate with the surcharge that stood at 42.5% has been brought down to 3%. So, you know, there is something for everyone in the budget, at least insofar as personal tax rates are concerned. The last point on capital gains, she chose not to alter the capital gains structure, viewed as complex, a large ask and expectation from the market. So I would have expected that she would have heeded to that expectation, but she hasn't. So I think there is something for everyone on the tax rates and tax slab structure on an overall basis.
तो मुकेश जी, मैं आपसे एक बार फिर से ये बात समझना चाहूंगी कि एक बड़ी खबर जो इस वक्त बजट के बाद निकल के आ रही है चारों तरफ, वो यही कि टैक्स स्लैब में बदलाव जो हुआ है और वो बड़ी छूट है। और अब जैसे 5 लाख तक टैक्स नहीं लगते थे, अब 7 लाख तक इनकम टैक्स नहीं देने होंगे, और जो नए टैक्स स्लैब हैं उसमें काफी चेंजेस हुए हैं। तो पहले के मुकाबले जो ये टैक्स स्लैब में चेंज हुए हैं, जैसे 0 से 3 तक तो कोई टैक्स देना नहीं है, 3 से 6 में 5% टैक्स है, 6 से 9 में 10%, और ये तमाम चीजें वो कितना बड़ा बदलाव और कितनी बड़ी राहत के तौर पे हम देखें।
काफी under the new tax structure, so will this incentivize more people to shift from the old to the new?
टैक्स ज्यादा लोग देंगे क्या?
Certainly, yes. So when we talk about tax rate changes, there are several changes which you need to look into for salaried, pensioners, and for self-employed. I think what got missed out in the self-employed, आज के regime में 50 लाख तक self-employed professionals के लिए benefit है. Simplified basis पर tax return file कर सकते हैं. 50% उनका standard deduction मिलता है. वो extend कर लिया है. Not just for individual self-employed, the threshold has been increased to 75 lakhs, but she has increased it even for MSMEs, which means that now MSMEs, rather than maintaining detailed books of accounts and computing their profitability, can also opt for the what is called presumptive basis of taxation. इसका मतलब आपको खर्चे का ज़्यादा हिसाब नहीं दिखाना पड़ेगा. So salaries, individuals, self-employed, pensioners, there is something for everyone in the slab rate changes.
तो बाकी तमाम अब मेहमानों को भी हम शामिल करेंगे और एक एक करके कि जो अब वित्त मंत्री ने बजट पेश कर दिया है, इंडस्ट्री का पहला रिएक्शन क्या है इस पे? जी, मैं आपसे जी हाँ.
मैं तो अपना सेक्टर इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में के बारे में बताऊंगी. इस साल हिस्टोरिकली इट्स द फर्स्ट टाइम दैट द आउटले हैज रीच्ड हिस्टोरिक 2 डिजिट्स. पिछले साल पूरा इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर सेक्टर की आउटले 7.5 लाख करोड़ था. इस बार 33% बढ़ावत की वजह से ये 10 लाख करोड़ पहुंचे हैं, विच इज द फर्स्ट टाइम एंट्री एंड इट्स अ हिस्टोरिक 33% इंक्रीज. इसके ऊपर बहुत सारे सेक्टर्स में, मैं डिटेल में नहीं जा रहा हूं अभी, बट काफी सारे सेक्टर्स में स्पेशल एम्फेसिस दिया गया हुआ है. रेल सेक्टर, अर्बन इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, लॉजिस्टिक्स, प्रधानमंत्री आवास योजना, 50 एयरपोर्ट, मेजर एम्फेसिस ऑन ग्रीन एनर्जी, the support of PPP to many other sectors not mentioned through the infrastructure finance secretariat. और सबसे बड़ी बात है कि जो स्टेट्स को जीडीपी फिस्कल डेफिसिट टारगेट दिया होगा, स्टेट फिस्कल डेफिसिट ऑफ 0.5% is earmarked for power sector reform, which is basically discom reform. तो बहुत सारे sectors में the FM has pressed the button on infra, and I would call it a 10-point booster dose for infrastructure.
और आप इसको अगर नंबर देना चाहें, जैसे हम लोग पहले भी कर रहे थे बात, तो इंडस्ट्री इसको कैसे आंकेगी? अच्छा बजट मान रहे हैं आप इसे, विनायक जी?
देखिए, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर सेक्टर से तो हमारे जितने जितने मांगे थे वो मोटे मोटे सब पूरे हो गई. So I would give it a very high rating on the outlays and the specific emphasis on areas that industry has been asking for, like municipal bonds has been mentioned as part of the urban reforms package.
This 10 lakh crores, this 33% increase that you talked about, let me get Mr. Ajit Gulabchand to comment on that. How significant is that in terms of the money that the government is putting into infrastructure? Is that going to have a knock-on effect in terms of everything that we want to see, like generating jobs, etc.? Your mic, sir.
Yeah.
It's on.
Yeah. As Vinayak said, that they have increased the expenditure on infrastructure to be done to 10 lakh crores for the first time. It is still less than what percentage we really need in order to grow at a faster rate of about 8%. We need to spend 13% of GDP on infrastructure. So this is not meeting that requirement. However, the increase is more than welcome, because at a time that we are struggling to get growth, which is hovering around 6.5%, which is a good thing, because don't forget, America grew at 6% for 60 years to become the richest nation in the world. So it's not such a big thing. But the fact is that this extra infrastructure will bear a lot of fruit. That continuous increase being done in this area is, in my opinion, a good sign. Besides, the budget does not have so many disruptive things, which might make you think that they haven't done enough. But it's better a quieter budget than something that disrupts.
When you say disruptive, what do you mean? What would have worried you?
Well, it needs a lot more, the reform that we are looking for, which create, for example, when you delicensed everybody in 1991, you created a reform that has rippled for 20 years. Something like this is a little disruptive but helps. But nothing like that has been done. So, in terms of not messing around with the budget too much, given the issues of fiscal deficit, current account deficits, not adequate growth as we would like it, though it is better than most of the world, I think a quiet budget is a good one.
A quiet budget. Mr. Vinod Agarwal is sitting next to you. Mr. Agarwal, how do you look at your first comments on the budget? How do you look at it? I think for a lot of people right now, the tax thing is the big headline because it affects the salaried middle class. And in that sense, when Nirmala Sitharaman said before the budget that she understood what the middle class wanted and she understood their pain, has she, you think, finally listened to them?
Absolutely. I think this is a very good budget, first of all, I would say. And from the auto sector point of view, the allocation on infrastructure, it has been increased substantially, and it is happening over last few years. And the second is, as you know, the auto industry is also going through a lot of transformation and migration to the better fuels. So the focus on all the biofuels, decarbonization, sustainability agenda, green fuels, I think that is very, very commendable. It will help the industry to get into these green fuels. And then, of course, there are a lot of things which are there. For example, the inclusiveness, going to the remote areas. I think a lot of allocations have been made to all these sectors which might have been ignored earlier. So therefore, I would say it's a very, very good growth-oriented budget, and this will put the country for the economy of 5 trillion.